Good evening, BookTube, YouTube, mankind, humanity. I said in one of my last video I wasn't going to make a video because my wife would be home. She got home yesterday. Today is a Wednesday. It is November the 14th, 2018. It is 7:30 here in Southwest Michigan. Today we had sunshine. It was cold, but it was sunny. But it's supposed to snow tomorrow and I think off and on throughout the rest of the week, which is normal for Michigan this time of year. Winter comes around the end of November and it snows all the way until probably April. Our springs are not warm here in Southwest Michigan. Spring is usually cold. It doesn't really get warm until June. So I wasn't going to make a video because I said I was going to spend the rest of, my wife is still off from work. She got back about 4:20 in the afternoon yesterday. But tonight she went to a women's Bible study. And so I was sitting here reading a book I got in the mail yesterday. Don't Save Anything, the Uncollected Essays, Articles, and Profiles by James Salter, with a preface by K. Elridge Salter. He's a very famous American writer. He wrote The Hunters, The Arm of Flesh, A Sport and Pastime, Light Years, Solo Faces, Dusk and Other Stories, Still Such, Burning the Days. He wrote The Art of Fiction with an introduction by John Casey, who's another American writer, John Casey. Anyway, I ordered this. I have several of his novels and short stories down in the lower level in our library, and when I saw this, I just thought I would buy it. It was on, I got pre-ordered. It wasn't that expensive, maybe $12 for this. So I've been reading this, and the last thing I read is that he interviewed the very famous writer Graham Greene. He for People's Magazine in 1976. And the next one he interviewed for People's Magazine Navigatov. So he goes to Switzerland in March of 1975 and he interviewed Negatov. So I was reading that. I also got in the mail this Reformation commentary on Scripture. This is Psalms, on Psalms 73 to 150. I already had, this came out a while back, Psalms 1 through 72, Reformation's commentary on Scripture. So I got both of them out, and I was trying to see, when I got this Reformation commentary on Psalm 172, I read it for a while. This one came out, this one came out in 2015. And so what I usually do when I get one of these is I just read it for a couple weeks and then I just probably go on to something else. So I've been reading where I stopped, and I stopped on Psalm 27, which is a very familiar psalm. When I mentioned the psalm to my wife, the first verse, which is in Psalm 27 verse 1, "The Lord is my light and my salvation, of whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life, and whom shall I be afraid?" My wife starts singing because we've gone to churches where we sang the Psalms, and psalm singing, and the time of the Reformation they sang the Psalms. John Calvin has the Geneva Psalter, and when the Puritans and the Pilgrims came to America, you have the Bay, I don't know, they sang the Psalms, and Psalm singing has been throughout church history. In monasticism, the monks sing through the whole Psalms every week. So yeah, I stopped on Psalm 27, so I've been reading that today. Even though I'm primarily going to keep reading, you know, John. This is the Reformation commentary on John chapters 1 through 12. I wonder when they're going to come out with the Reformation commentary on John 13 through 21. Who knows? I was looking on today trying to find out what the next one is coming out, but I couldn't find anything. And I have still been reading John, interpreted by early Christian and medieval commentators. So, but I'm not going to just stop reading the Gospel of John. I'm just kind of do a little break and read the Reformation commentary on Psalm 27, and maybe I'll do that for this week, you know, break it up. I'm still reading The Theosophy of Love, Cosmic Conflict and the Problem of Evil by John C. Beckham, and I'm still reading Jesus in Jerusalem, the Last Days by Eckhard J. Schnabel. And still you know, I read this the other night. I think I mentioned I was reading the stories so far of Deborah Eisenberg, and reading Future Won't Be Long, a novel by Jarett Kobek, which I gave a long video about, my reflections on this nihilistic lit. And then I've been reading William H. Gass, A Reader. So those things I'm kind of reading when my wife, since she's been home, has been doing all kinds, just flying around. She went and visited her brother who's in the hospital, her older brother. Tomorrow morning she's going to go visit a friend, an elderly lady in a retirement village in Douglas. Tonight she went to a women's Bible study. She cooked a meal for a young family who just had their baby in their church. She cooked a meal for them and took that over. We babysitted our two of our grandchildren, Josie Joy and Coralie, so Emily, our daughter-in-law, could go to the doctor this morning. This morning we got up really early and went grocery shopping, and this went on and on. So my wife is just doing all these things. She goes back to work this next Monday, but she goes into semi-retirement in January of 2019. And so she's going to start getting Social Security, and we're getting old, and time is going by, and before we know it, we'll be in the new creation. Yeah, you know, after I made that video about nihilism, I kept thinking of these verses in 2 Peter, and it says in 2 Peter, I was thinking of these verses after I did that video. It says in chapter 2, but there were also false prophets among the people, even as there will be false teachers among you who will secretly bring in destructive heresies, even denying the Lord who bought them, and bring on themselves swift destruction. And many will follow their destructive ways, because of whom the way of truth will be blasphemed. By covetousness they will exploit you with deceptive words for a long time. Their judgment has not been idle, and their destruction does not slumber. And then it goes down here. It says, he talks about how, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in chapter 3 of 2 Peter, in which the heavens will pass away with great noise, and the elements will melt with fervent heat. both the earth and the works that are in it will be burned up. Therefore, since all these things will be dissolved, what manner of person ought you to be in holy conduct and godliness, looking for and hasting the coming of the day of God, because of which the heavens will be dissolved, being on fire, and the elements will melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for a new heavens and a new earth in which righteousness dwells. See, we can look at this world and see the nihilism, and we can see the decadence, and we can see the wickedness and all these things. But we have to, it says here, nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for a new heavens and a new earth in which righteousness dwells. So you got to keep that perspective. You can fall into existential despair if you just look at things, if you don't have a heavenly hope, if you don't look at that new world that is going to come where righteousness dwells. So anyway, I just want to share that. So tomorrow is November the 15th. I plan to visit local thrift stores tomorrow looking for used books. Friday, I volunteer at the library used bookstore again, the Book Nook. And yeah, so I thank you for the new subscribers. I thank you for the comments. So yeah, that's what is going on in my reader's world as far as my diary. You know, usually I don't go into the second volume of my diary until the 16th of the month. But my first volume got so full, I wrote so much the last 13 days, I can't get any more in here. So I had to put in here today, November the 14th. And I ended on page 961 pages for the year 2018. And tomorrow will be a new day. So I hope you're all doing well. Thank you for, like I said, the new subscribers, the comments. And do pray you're all doing well, that you have a good week. I don't know if I'll make a video. I don't really know if I'm making another video. I don't know what. But we'll see. So I'll sign off. Good night.